Hi, this is Alex Helmbrecht, the Sports Information Director at Chadron State College, and I'm sitting here this morning with Chadron State men's basketball coach Brent Bargen. The Eagles had a tough Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference home opening weekend, Friday and Saturday at Armstrong Gymnasium against two tough West Division foes, Colorado Mesa and Western State. Colorado Mesa entered the game undefeated, and they certainly lived up to their record. They're actually receiving votes in the top 25 poll now, as is the women's team, who's also remains undefeated. But the Mavericks defeated the Eagles 77-62, and then that was followed by a 69-66 loss to Western State. Coach, just looking at the weekend as a whole, the Eagles fall to 0-6 overall, but really probably are a better team than the record indicates. How do you feel that you improved this weekend?
Well, I think we probably got a couple of guys that needed to start competing at the RMAC level to start to do that a little bit better. We had a couple of individuals who I thought have some talent when we recruited them, and I thought we had a decent amount of toughness that's starting to show through just a little bit, and a couple of those guys played better. And if they continue to grow and mature in their role and take ownership of and accountability for our play, I think that we'll be better. I think that's probably the biggest thing. Adding Kyle helped. That gets us a little bit more of a post presence. So that helped a little bit in the sense that once he gets in the swing of things and gets into basketball shape, I think that will shore up our inside game a little bit, because right now that's been a bit of an issue for us. We just aren't experienced and probably not physical enough in there yet, just because of youth and lack of size.
Yeah, as Coach mentioned, the inside game kind of proved to be the difference on Friday against Colorado Mesa. Brent Bargen, who is the RMAC Offensive Player of the Week for Colorado Mesa, scored 26 points and had 6 rebounds. But more importantly, for the Mavs, as when the Eagles were making a run in the second half, converted 3 of 4 and 1 conversions. So he did a nice job down there in the low post. And Coach, I know that I've talked to you for several years now. The difference between a good team and a really good team in the RMAC usually is a senior post player.
Well, just senior leadership in general. And you see the teams that are usually at the top third or top quarter of the conference are teams that have the resources to be able to have a consistent group. To where they'll have kids in the program for 4 years and they don't have a lot of turnover and have the ability to have some longevity in the program. And you can tell the teams that aren't, sometimes they're up and down. They'll have a decent year and then they'll be down just because it's a so-called rebuilding year, mainly because you're getting some kids experience where those bigger programs or those programs that are traditionally pretty good they're very well coached, but they're also programs that have kids in their program as freshmen and sophomores and are able to kind of work through that thing, and they gain some experience as they go and learn from some of the upperclassmen. Unfortunately, programs like ours at this time, we don't lack for a lot of things, but one of the things that has been difficult for us is to be able to have an experienced group on a consistent basis. I think last year, we finally had some seniors in the program, and those kids that were seniors were producing and won 11 of 12 games down the stretch, and that was simply because, one, they were talented players, and two, they were experienced kids. And right now we're just gaining experience on it every day, and I think the game on Saturday, as a for instance, is we haven't been in that situation where it's a game-winning, game-tying play at the end of the game yet this year, and that was a learning experience for us. We haven't been in that situation, and so every situation, every week, and every game is a different situation for us, and for us to be able to continue to learn, that's what we're doing. Unfortunately, we have to continue to learn.
As Coach mentioned, the game against Western State was a 69-66 outcome for the Mountaineers. The Eagles actually fought back really well. The Mountaineers led by 18 with just about 9.5 minutes to play in the first half. And then Chadron State caught fire, cut it to 45-37 at the half, and then actually outscored Western State 29-24 in the second half. But Western State hit some big free throws down at the end to ice the game away. Chadron actually had a chance to hit a game-tying field goal there at the end, but the shot did not go in. Coach obviously had a couple nice performances, led by Grant Stone, his first career double-double. He had 12 points, 15 boards, including 7 on the offensive glass. And you finished with 21 as the team. And then Zach Bargen had 24 points, 5 boards. And then Kyle Vinich, as you mentioned, kind of is playing himself into shape. He played on the football team and had 9 points and 5 boards just in 19 minutes.
Well, I think Grant is one of those individuals that we need him to start producing on a consistent basis. Once he figures out how hard to play at this level and kind of gets a little bit better feel for our system and picking and being able to pick and choose his spots, I think he'll have a great career for us. Obviously, having 15 rebounds for a 2-guard is unheard of, and 7 offensive rebounds. He did a great job of hitting the glass. It's something that we've been preaching, that right now we're not shooting the ball well through the first 6 games, and we've really been talking about hitting the glass. And with David being sick and Kendrick being sick, we were down 2 guys, so Zach and Grant played a few more minutes than we would like them to play, both 37 minutes apiece, and those 2 guys both produced pretty well for us in those amount of minutes. It's not what we want to have happen. I think that's too many minutes for them to have, and hopefully we'll be able to get Kendrick and David back, and then with Kyle in the group, we'll finally have a core group of guys, and our roster has been a little bit in flux with injuries and sickness and illness, and then adding Kyle, and we've lost, I think, 3 or 4 guys. Yesterday we practiced with 9 healthy people, and we started the season with 14 guys. So, that's been a difficult situation for our kids, and I think once we get that core group of guys together and they continue to play together and continue to grow together, I think this team's got a chance to be pretty good.
Even though the Eagles didn't come out with the outcome you had hoped, you got to be happy with coming back from an 18-point deficit with 9.5 minutes to play in the first half. But as I talked to you on Monday, you mentioned that you guys need to start warming up better. What do you kind of have in mind for that?
Well, I mean, in both those first 2 games, I guess the last 3 games, we started in a hole. At Montana Tech, we started out really well, and we were aggressive and made some plays early and got a lead and played pretty well early. The last 3 games, we've really been sluggish coming out of the gate. We've had double-digit deficits in all 3 games, and like I told our kids, you get down by 18 and have a chance to tie it at the half, it's going to be very difficult for you to be able to use that much energy. I mean, if we use the energy that we used to come back at the beginning of the game, you don't have a deficit. You probably have a lead, and it just takes that much more out of you to have to come back from such a big deficit. I think we've got to get out and get better warmed up. We've got to maybe look at what we're doing in our pre-game warm up stuff as far as individually and as a team. Got to get our heart rates up. Got to learn to play harder out of the gate so that we don't have such on your heels type of deal. The other thing is we got to look at what we're doing offensively a little bit. We haven't shot the ball real well, and I think sometimes we've gotten. The way that we play offensively usually takes a little while and starts to wear on guys, and we usually have a better second half than a first half, and we got to do a better job of getting out of the gate and getting some baskets early instead of having missed shots and or turnovers, so that those turnovers and missed shots the other night were leading to baskets. Western State got a couple of runouts on us. They had a guy that was to use an old phrase, cherry picking, and that got us in a bit of a hole where we had a couple of misses and turnovers, and they were throwing them out for layups. Once we got that rectified and fixed, we hadn't seen that on tape before, and once we got that rectified and fixed, I thought we played a little bit better. But getting a better start offensively and getting a better start warm-up wise, I think will maybe help us get a better start out of the gate and not have to fight for such a large deficit.
Well, hopefully the Eagles can get good starts this weekend. They'll be on the road actually this weekend and next weekend in the Denver area. This weekend they face Colorado Mines on Friday, and followed by a game against our MAC rival Colorado Christian on Saturday. And then the following week the Eagles will be on the road again at Metro State and at Regis. Coach, looking at Colorado Mines real quickly, 4-2 overall, 1-1 in the RMAC. They lost actually at Western New Mexico last weekend, 77-66, and then bounced back with an overtime win against New Mexico Highlands, 89-84. They feature 2 of the top players in the RMAC. Brian Moeller currently leads the conference in scoring, just a hair under 21 points a game, and Trevor Wages is averaging a double-double, 18 points, 10 rebounds, and he's actually the top rebounder in the conference, so certainly going to be a tall task on Friday.
Well, Pryor does a great job over there, and they're well coached, and their staff does a good job with them, and they're hard-nosed kids, tough kids, and he does a great job of putting his kids in a situation to be successful. Trevor Wages has gained probably 30 pounds since last year. I think they list him at 255 now as a post player, and they've got two interior kids that are both pretty good, a power forward and a center, and one's at 18 and 10, the other one is at 12 and 8. And then obviously Mueller is a guard, and he's done a great job at 21 a game, taking some great shots, very good from the free throw line, and he's taking a lot of shots, leads them in scoring and leads them in shot attempts. And so we've got our work cut out for us. As you and I have talked before, if you can find three guys on a consistent basis that can put points in the scorebook, you've got a chance to be pretty successful. You need three guys in any league, I believe, to be pretty good. If you've got one, you have no chance. If you've got two, you got a fighting chance. If you've got three or more, you know, you're going to have a great chance to get a lot of production and create some balance on your team. And that right now, that's what they have: a guard, a power forward, and a center, and they're all averaging double figures at 12, 18, and 21. And they've got another guy, one of their other wing players, is averaging 10 a game. So, you know, they're doing a great job of scoring the ball. They're well coached. They're going to set a lot of screens. They're going to be very physical with us, and hopefully our kids can handle what we're getting ready to get into.
And then that'll be followed by a game at Colorado Christian on Saturday. The Cougars are currently 5-5 overall, 0-2 in the RMAC, though. They lost to New Mexico Highlands in western New Mexico last week, and they are, of course, travel partners with Colorado Mines. The Cougars are 3-0 at home, 0-4 on the road, 2-1 neutral site. So obviously a much better team at home as the season has gone along. Kyle Weaver leads them in scoring during the conference games. He's averaging 11 points a game throughout the season, but he's gone off for about 19 against New Mexico Highlands in western New Mexico. And then Lance Vesper has also increased his scoring average. He entered last weekend with just 9 points, but he scored 28 total last weekend, so he's averaging 14 in conference play. Should be another tough game.
Well, every game for us is a difficult game, especially on the road in the RMAC. Until you prove that you can compete and get some respect from everybody, your opponents and officials and yourselves, it's going to be a tough go, and that's a very difficult place to play. Christian is a real small place. It's very loud in there. In the past, it's been a tremendous home court advantage for them, and it's a difficult place to play. And obviously, both of these teams this weekend are playing well, because the two worst trips in the league, you know, based on travel itself, is one's the New Mexico trip and the other one's Adams and Fort Lewis. And they did awfully well this last weekend and going on one of the toughest road trips in probably the United States. And so, you know, we got to be ready to play. We got to be ready to – they play a little bit different than what most teams play and how most teams play, especially offensively. And so we'll get a lot of different looks from them that we don't see, that's a little bit difficult to prepare for in such a short turnaround time. If we had a full week to prepare for them, that'd be a little bit different. But one overnight is a pretty tough call for preparing for CCU. And, you know, we got to find a way to get a split on the road here. You got to try to find a way to start getting some wins and scratching some out.
All right, Coach. Well, best of luck to you this weekend as the Eagles are at Colorado Mines and Colorado Christian. Both of those games will air live on Double Q Country. Appreciate it.
Thank you.